Board Supervisor meeting. We have Pastor Smokey Gibson, First Baptist Church of Biloxi.
I don't see him.
Okay. Well, I'll listen to prayer. Spirit, bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here today. We ask that you allow us to make good decisions for our constituents and make sure that all our decisions are from the bottom of our hearts and for the best interest of our people. We ask that you allow us to have safe travel, and therefore we're very thankful to be here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. We can get Supervisor Beverly Martin, she can lead us in the pledge.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we have our hearing to receive any public comment regarding the Harrison County proposed budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. Any comment? Okay. No comments. Thank you.
Do you want to just give a little report on the budget?
Okay, you want it?
Once we
Okay.
get there. The budget will include a 5% across the board cost of living raise for all employees with 1 year of service. No tax increase, and there is a decrease in the school district taxing districts of 0.41, and it's about around $200 million.
Thank you so much.
no need taxes.
Okay. Next up is item 2, order approving the temporary use of county equipment by the retired activity office of Keesler Air Force Base needed to assist in hosting its 2022 Retired Appreciation Day on October 28, 2022.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion.
It's the group. That's good for all the veterans.
All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We don't want to recognize Ms. Linda Perry to discuss Animal Control Ordinances Section 13 and how it impacts the AC officer's investigation and prosecution.
Yes, and please forgive my ignorance of such proceedings. I've never been here before, but I do have some brief information for everyone, and it seems a little redundant because I'm actually, I'm giving you a copy of your own ordinance to be referred to.
She's out, Rebecca. You can leave her a copy.
All right, and I'm so sorry. I know I have very limited time. Mr. Peterson, since you have a letter enclosed in there,
County administrator.
and I'll have to have one left to work from. I'll have to give you yours.
I get one from the
If you-
Okay.
supervisor when you
If
get
you
the
can state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Linda Perry. My address is 6417 Pine Bur Drive, Van Cleve, Mississippi, 39565. And I know you're probably wondering, why am I here? Okay, as stated, it's to discuss Section 13 of your Animal Control Ordinance and why it is so important right now. You may or may not be aware that there is a landmark case pending trial by Herman Cox. Jessica Collins was arrested. Well, the warrant was issued on February the 23rd. She actually negotiated surrender and wasn't booked into custody until March the 2nd. The reason I am here is I am a first account eyewitness of the reasons why she should have been charged with felonies. I witnessed the burning of the dogs, the intentional starvation, the cruel abuse. Now here is the difficulty. I have made phone calls all over the state. There is a case under investigation with the Secretary of State Charities Fraud Division, Mark Branning. I have talked to 3 FBI agents. The problem is this case.
Where was this?
The officers responded to a property of Old Highway 49 in Social. Okay? As an eyewitness, I tried very hard immediately to contact investigators. 3 days worth of phone calls. Finally, on Friday the 25th, I was able to get through to somebody and leave a message as to who I was, what I saw, and the other 8 to 10 eyewitnesses who also saw it. I was given the information, as we all know from the website, Harrison County, 976 square miles, population of over 200,000 people. We have 2 officers in animal control. They respond 24/7, 12-hour shifts. They are the investigators. I finally heard from the investigative deputy September 6th, 6 days ago. One of the biggest mistakes that can be made in any investigation is failure to speak to eyewitnesses. We are over 6 months down the road. There are at least 8 of us. The information was all given to the department within 3 days of being taken into custody. I find, after reading section 13, that the sheriff's department has the ability to ask for additional resources to help with investigating. The board also has the authority to appoint additional resources to help with an investigation. This trial has been postponed 3 times. The last date was the 29th of August. On the 24th, Connie Call received a phone call from Animal Control saying, give us all your evidence.
Okay, I know we were running short on time. I think we pretty much understand that procedure. We thought maybe you had something reference to the ordinances.
Well, that is, I am here to tell you, if additional resources have not been asked for, I would please ask for help for that department, as it's going to be dismissed for lack of evidence if an investigation is not done correctly. My second question would be, are the animal control officers trained in investigation? Because this case actually is 4 felonies. The charges have never been upgraded because witnesses who saw it have never been spoken to.
What they charge them with?
She got 32 counts, all misdemeanors.
Are being cruel?
Okay, in the building, okay, there were 22 dead dogs found in barrels covered with vinegar to cut the smell, bags of puppies. The dog she was intentionally starving. There were 2 burning on the property. I am the person who put the bodies in bags.
I don't want to cut you off. I don't think we need to be in discussing the investigation.
No, I understand that, but they need help.
Okay.
Let me say one thing. Let me explain to you how that works. We don't upgrade charges.
I understand that.
Okay, so I know you're saying that the investigators need to do this and they need to do this. We don't do that. We don't upgrade charges. That's the county prosecutor's job.
Correct.
So-
However, animal control is responsible for the investigation and to give the information to the prosecutor so that can be done.
Was she charged with 37 counts?
She was charged with 32 counts.
Okay, well then
All misdemeanors.
obviously the paperwork got to the prosecutor.
And I'm not sure if that would be what the animal control officer witnessed upon arriving at the property. However,
I get what you're saying, but the argument's not with the board or the sheriff's
Oh,
office.
I'm not arguing with anyone. I'm asking for the board to please.
No, I get what you're saying, but you're still not understanding that as a police officer, we provide information to the court. That's what we do.
Section 13.
Ma'am, I understand what it says. We provide information to the courts.
Yes.
The courts
And how
then,
do you obtain that information?
well, we get it on scene.
What about things that were seen prior? They arrived there by a phone call. There are witnesses prior.
If you have additional information,
I do.
then you need to contact the prosecutor's office. That's who you need to contact.
We, Herman Cox failed to respond
I
to
think, I
people
think,
for the
I
last
don't
3
wanna cut you off,
months.
but I think this matter at this point should be, all your questions should be forward towards, Mr. Cox. Because the
Mr.
sheriff-
Jones, would
because
you
the sheriff-
give me
Yes, ma'am, let
the
me say
authority
something.
to speak with him? Because
I don't
I
have-
can
I
try.
don't have to give, I don't have that kind of authority. He's a public elected official, so I'm sure you can reach him.
that is incorrect.
Yeah.
There is a
May I
letter.
say something? Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
first off, if you have witnesses that
Yes.
witness this, that want to give statements, all they have to do is write their statements out and provide them to Mr. Cox's office. They hadn't got to talk with Mr. Cox. They hadn't got to meet with Mr. Cox until the matter is set for trial or approaching trial. But he has to know about them. If the sheriff's office was able to file 32 charges against this person, they obviously did their jobs and got enough information for 32 criminal charges to be filed against this person. Now, it's been continued 3 times, unfortunately, for a variety of different reasons that can happen. But if there are other witnesses that need to be provided, just simply have those witnesses with their name, address, and telephone number, hand that, write what they saw, and deliver it to Mr. Cox's office at the courthouse and at the justice court in Gulfport.
What
He will-
Deputy Gerard is telling me is that the information provided to Cox is their job to investigate what is in those statements, and that they did not receive anything back from Mr. Cox. That was done.
The statements have been given or not, I'm not sure what you just said. Are the statements been given to the prosecutor or not?
Yes, we were told to mail them to the P.O. Box
Okay,
of
so
Herman
he's-
Cox. However, Animal Control has said that they need to investigate the information that's in those statements to prepare for trial, and that they have not received the statements sent to Herman
I'm sorry,
Cox
ma'am.
back for
I didn't mean-
investigation.
Only if Mr. Cox determines as the prosecutor that those statements are something that he wants to use at the trial. He may not need those witnesses' statements. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about the case other than what you've said today. So Mr. Cox makes that decision about what he needs and what the investigators need to go do as the prosecuting attorney. You know, I have cases all the time where somebody ran over somebody. I don't need 20 witnesses to tell me that somebody ran over somebody. We've got evidence, we've got photographs, whatever it is. I'm making this up, it's not an example. But as a prosecutor, he makes that decision. So if you need to talk with him, you can call his secretary and try to make an appointment. If he deems that appropriate, I'm sure he will meet with you. If he thinks he's got enough information to prosecute this person, I'm sure that's what he'll do. But the sheriff department did his job as proved by 32 charges being brought.
And they're very overburdened as far as
I
that goes.
understand, look, my
I'm
my
sorry.
babies are my babies, and 2 of them are dogs, we love them to death, and if somebody harmed one of them, they'd have to deal with me. But, you know, and I hate this, it makes me sick to my stomach just to listen to see what happened. If people mistreat an animal who wants nothing but love, that's all dogs want generally, is just love, pets. And so, I'm sorry that happened. If the board will let me, I'll speak to Mr. Cox and try to push things along.
Yes, sir, because this is the last thing I say is this is a formal request for assistance because it clearly states that the animal control officers are the investigators. I sent a 16-page statement to Mr. Cox in July. However, Deputy Gerard called me on the 6th of February to say, we don't have your statement. And I'm saying I sent it along with, there were 5 others who also went directly, but yet he took a recording of what I said, and now they want additional documentation, which is fine, but there is much more evidence out there that for some reason did not get investigated and is absolutely important to the prosecution of the
Well,
case.
Mr. Cox is the prosecutor and makes that decision, period. He makes that decision.
I understand that, but he doesn't make the decision on what evidence there actually is.
Yes, he does. He makes the decision about what evidence to collect. Once the charge is filed, it leaves the sheriff's office, goes to the prosecutor. He then directs how that's going to be prosecuted and what other investigation needs or doesn't need to be done.
Okay. I would like to make one more sentence and then I'll
Yeah,
finish.
we really.
Yes, so basically what you are telling me to witnesses to write statements to them They don't do actually any investigation, even though they are the investigating officers. Investigation, what you're telling me is that we give them everything we know. However, without being questioned, there, a lot of times under questioning, there are other avenues of information that open up that are very important.
That's up to Mr. Cox.
So I would like to say that they do need help with this case. I fear that it's going to be dismissed from lack of evidence.
Thank you so much, I appreciate your comment. Appreciate it. Next, we recognize John Grogan, first. Give me 1 second.
Sorry.
Give me one.
Would that be inappropriate to ask Mr. Holland to see where they are?
On the dog, okay. I'm doing it as we speak. I'm texting Mr.
I'm
Cox.
doing it also.
Okay,
now.
thank y'all, it bothers me. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find out.
thank you.
Yeah, Mr. John Grogan, first Vice President, Consumer Lending with Access Loans to present Access Loans programs for Harrison County employees.
Morning, board members. Very good to be here to ask for the approval of the Access Loans Program to county employees. I've been working with County Administrator Ulrich and her team over the past few months to make this program available. What Access Loans is a way for those county employees who cannot access affordable credit in the traditional sense. They can't go to their bank or their credit union. Perhaps they had a bankruptcy, perhaps they have low FICO, their credit cards are maxed out or whatever it may be, that they have to use payday lenders. They have to use an auto title loan. They have to use other online lenders. Only last week there was a story in Houston where online lenders are now charging 767% APR by skirting legislative guidelines within.
And how much is yours?
Ours is 23.99%.
Now, my next question, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but we have a copy of your program.
Yes,
What it does not say is what's the cost to the county.
absolutely nothing.
That's
So,
not true because it's coming payroll deducted, right?
correct.
So, yeah, it's gonna cost us something. You don't have any idea what that would be.
Yes, absolutely. So if there's any cost associated with implementing the program or the administration of the program, please send us an invoice and we'll reimburse you for that. So if it's simply a matter of, hey, it took an hour this week to key in the deductions, please send us an invoice. It's,
And then the way that works is, then what? What if they don't pay? Are we now the collectors?
absolutely not. This is a really great way to really kind of recuse yourself from the responsibility of the liability. It's a way to help out and reach employees with this program without being liable or having any risk whatsoever.
Well,
So,
basically, if I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, we withhold that money
Correct.
from their salaries and send it to him, so we
Right.
become the collector.
That's what I'm
In
saying,
effect.
and I've got a problem with that.
Yeah, I do
I don't
too.
like being in the collector
We're,
business. Or the loan business.
we're eliminating their risk.
Correct.
When they borrow
The
the
risk
money from
goes
this
on our
company,
back.
the risk is, we have to deduct that
Mhm.
from their salary.
Right. That's the way I see it.
there's a key point to be made at this point. So we said the interest rate is 23.99%. That's not an APR. It's a simple interest. It doesn't compound.
Right.
So the way that actually shakes out, even though it's 23.99%, we're bound by Mississippi state law to state that, we assess interest on a declining balance. So the cost of $1,000 borrowed over 12 months is about $135.
Mr. Grogan, I understand that, and I'm sorry. but
Well, I'm just saying,
I
it's
read
really,
it.
the interest is important,
It's
but it's not the
idiots.
key
Right.
to, it's the fact that we're involved in making sure that they get their loan money.
We're gonna be collecting
We're gonna be collecting
money
it
on your
from
behalf,
them.
and that is going to be labor intensive. I'm asking our payroll, I mean, you're gonna have to, every 2 weeks, you're gonna have to collect that money from their paycheck, correct?
Correct, and which
Yes.
we'd encourage you to send us an invoice for the labor cost of that. It is essential that this,
But the time that she's using to do the loan,
Every 2 weeks. And then who
Yes.
decides if they, what if they come back and say, man, I'm gonna short my check this time?
What about
Every-
other companies coming and asking us to do the same, other loans?
we're not, we don't have an exclusive agreement and we'd welcome that if any other
It's not
companies.
so much you don't have an exclusive agreement, we're gonna be obligated, or
To
I don't
collect
know if we're
more.
obligated, but in fairness, we would have to have other companies doing the same.
I think it's timely to make the comment that in the event of a termination or a disconnection from county employment, there's no risk or liability for the county.
There, I understand that, but there is a cost to us. And I question what kind of liability we're gonna end up having, because if I owe $500 and you turn around and take 200 out of my paycheck, and I come back and say, hey, Angela, I want my $200, I didn't authorize you to do that. I don't wanna pay him this month. Then what? Then how's that work?
Within the loan documents, if you read them, every single county employee, whether it's in California or Mississippi, Alabama, wherever it is, every employee is entitled to stop the pay reduction if they go to HR and ask it to be so. It's a requirement for this type of product.
That's what I'm saying. So now
Absolutely.
we got twice as much work on the payroll.
And again, just to be doubly clear, please send us an invoice for any labor cost that's incurred. It is essential that this is a cost-neutral program. We've done this in large administrations within local government, Broward County Public Schools previously, City of Miami, Miami Beach, and many others as well. We're about to be in front of the board in Oklahoma County as well, and we're in an RFP with Broward County to renew there. What this essentially does is, the message is always this. If you can access reasonably priced credit elsewhere, please do. You don't need this program. And in fact,
I don't, with all due respect, I don't feel that the county should be using taxpayers' dollars to be in the lending business at all, nor the collecting, but especially the collecting business.
This is why
See,
you're
that's my point.
you're outsourcing it, and the county doesn't become
But
involved
we're
in
not
it.
outsourcing, because if we have an employee that wants to go get a loan somewhere, whether it's a bank, payday, wherever, that's between them and their lender. I personally don't want to be a lender, nor do I want to be a collector, and that's just me.
That's essentially the essence of this program. It removes the county from being a lender or a collector.
It doesn't.
I mean, if you, our agreement, if Board Attorney Holloman has seen it as well, it's essentially a harmless agreement. It absolves the county of all risk related to the lending and the collection of any of this.
Well, if that was the case, it would be coming out of payroll.
I think the point is that it goes through our payroll, and our payroll individual have to be collecting that money, and that is where we are, that's where we have the rub. I think that's the issue that she's trying to make you understand.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that we don't want to have our payroll people, or I can't speak for the whole board, but we don't want to be a collection agency for a private company. It's a great program. I think it's something that should be made available and known. We may be able to, I don't know, make it available through just advertising it, but we can't, I'm of the same mindset that using taxpayers' dollars and extra time, even though it'll be reimbursed, is still extra time that we would have to,
We've also been working with Tim Joffrey of Delta Systems as well to make sure that the workload on HR is diminished over time. So we're also talking to other counties in the state as well to do the same thing. We understand that.
So Mark, you might have alluded to this, I'm not sure if I heard, but what happens if the employee comes in, he's tired of his money being attached on his check, and he says, I don't want you to do that anymore. And then, of course, they're gonna attach it through garnishment, and that's gonna cost us, because Tim has to be involved in garnishment, there's a fee for all that, so we wind up, if that employee decides to cut, and I'm not gonna allow y'all to withdraw I don't want you to withdraw that loan from my paycheck, then they're gonna naturally, they're not gonna take a loss, they're gonna garnish the wages or something. And we're gonna be involved in it.
So if I wanted to borrow $500 and I pay back 50, and then I go to her and say, I don't wanna pay the other $450, then you're just gonna write
It's
it
your
off.
right. It's your right to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your right, and it's actually written into the loan agreement that you can go to HR anytime and start the deduction, and that's.
But what do you do at that
How
point?
you gonna
You
do
know,
that?
you can't take the loss.
No, very much
I
so.
will
So
not take the loss.
we will. So we're completely liable for every loss. It's baked into the
You're gonna
insurance.
garnish his wages.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Well, how are you gonna?
Man,
collect
you
that?
asking for trouble.
So what we do is we reach out to them. Very
You're
good,
not going to
very good
jail.
point.
I'm on.
We reach out to them and we work with employees. We treat them in the same high esteem that we do as if they were still an employee with the county. And we say, look, can you do $5, $10 a month? If you can't, you can't. The first thing we do, if they terminate or then, you know, we understand that there's probably something wrong. So we would initially offer a repayment break, which incidentally is available during the course of the loan. You can switch the loan repayments off during the loan. And if you terminate as well. So we go to employees and say, hey, do you want to take a break for 30 days, 60 days, get yourself together? You may not be working right now. And then we have a very cooperative collections process. We don't harass, we've never litigated against a borrower, we never will. We never pass borrower details who defaulted onto a third party. We generally charge off after 180 days. It's baked into the rate.
Mr. Grogan, are you telling us you would never, under any circumstances, garnish an individual borrower's wages?
Yes, sir.
You will not garnish their wages?
We would never garnish a defaulted wage. So if somebody went and said, I would like to remove this deduction from my payroll, we would never go and garnish
And they
that.
quit paying you? They just said, I'm not paying you
They'll borrow
anymore.
500,
It
pay
is a
5.
risk that we take on
And the
board. as a-
$495, you're saying you're just gonna eat.
Yes, it's baked into the rate. Even with the loan turnover of local government employees, it's baked into the rate. Everybody gets the same rate. And it's also, there's no question of whether you'll be approved for the loan. The loan, after 1 year of service, everybody's eligible. The only question is that you make sure that you have a repayment that doesn't exceed 15% of your gross income per pay period. We want to make sure it's affordable. The equivalent APR for payday loans in the state of Mississippi is 521% APR. An auto loan is going to cost you about 120% APR. If you are in a jam, you don't have savings, we see credit tightening already. This is why this is so timely. Interest rates are rising, ours will never rise. Even though the rate is 23.99%, the cost of $1,000 over 12 months is $135 or $11.20 per month.
In your contract with that employee, excuse me, is there any collateral dedication involved?
None at all. There's no credit check. This is the key point. Many borrowers don't go to a lender because a credit check will result in a hard inquiry and reduce their credit score. There's no fees, no prepayment penalties.
Now, are you publicly traded?
We're not, no. So we're owned
So
by,
you can sell the debt to somebody else?
We absolutely don't do that.
Could garnish somebody's wages?
we absolutely don't do that. And if you'd like to make that addendum to the contract, we're happy to say that.
I'm just not. I'm sorry, I can't.
I understand your concern.
Just me. I'm just one.
But it is, I mean, when we've run this at other large counties, we've seen engagement rates or participation rates anywhere between 12 to 18%. There is a large portion of employees who cannot access affordable credit, who have to go down to Advance America, who have to go and use the title loans on Main Street. And, you know, we can remove them
Maybe
from
they
that.
ought to just do it within their means.
It's very hard. I mean, the cycle of payday loan debt really traps you for years and years and years. You know, at 521% APR, you're paying back $6,200 or
Depends on how
$1,000.
long it takes you to pay it back.
You know, in South Carolina, we see an average payday loan of 8.2. People take out
If I make a
8.2.
payday loan and pay it back 3 days later, I'm not gonna pay that.
No, but you would be the exception. Most
Yes, I go to the bank.
60 in California, and you know, from 69% of all payday loan borrowers have 6 loans or more. It is the norm to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 payday loans. How do you juggle that in a family and your
And
job?
we do a credit check when we hire somebody.
We do on positions that have to be bonded, so
That's
just
what I'm
like.
thinking. So they wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't be the ones.
I'm like Ms. Martin, I don't think.
I
we
make
need
a
to get
motion not to do
involved
it, I'm sorry.
in loan.
I'll make a
Second
motion not to
motion.
do it. I'm not comfortable with it. You got a second.
Okay, got a second, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Next, number 5 is recognized. A and B, same thing? Okay. Benefits coordinator with Global Life National, is another life insurance option for Harris County. Come forward, state your name and
So I have paperwork for everyone.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
About cafeteria,
This is where she- this is where
um,
they, there's paperwork in here.
the new-
I know.
Just a lot.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I'm with,
Your name?
my name, Lynn Vite. My address is 16366 Timber Trail in Bogalusa, Louisiana.
Yeah.
I'm with Globe Life Liberty National. We've been in business since 1900. We do have A+ ratings with AM Best, with the Better Business Bureau, and we've also been named towards top 50 in each year since its inception. I know that the county offers a wide variety of benefits to their employees. How ours differs is we have a life policy, which is a term policy to age 100, with the option of payoff at age 65. So employees are able to get the benefits of the lower rates associated with a term policy, but unless they live over 100 years, it does cover them for their entire lives. The paid up option is available to all employees who are under the age of 55. Otherwise, they can get just the term to 100. Our policy is 100% portable. The premiums do not increase, and the face amount does not decrease if they leave the county for any reason. Their rates
How
are
does
locked
an
in.
employee pay you for this?
It is a payroll deduction.
That's what I thought. Okay, I make the motion not to do it.
Well, we got others. Don't we? I mean,
Not that are
we got-
payroll
we got-
deducted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
it's
do?
like you
Who
have-
are they?
Yeah,
Life insurance policies.
this is a little different.
Oh, is it
than-
wrong?
I would think this is a little different than the previous.
Yeah.
So then why don't she come for the open enrollment like the rest of them do?
That's what she would do, she would ask, that's what she's asking you to do.
Oh, that ain't what I heard her ask.
It's just an option that our employees
Gotcha.
have. for
So it'd be
insurance.
like nationwide, so they come and sell it to them direct?
So we already have a program for life insurance.
Yes.
Yes.
You actually have two different ones.
I always just wanted to highlight how we're different from other companies. And employees can also cover their spouses and families under that same paid up option, so that those are also completely portable. So
What's
upon,
the largest amount?
depends on their age, under 65, 50,000 on this particular plan. Now, we do have individual policies that you can purchase, that's not the paid up option or the group term
What would
100.
that be the largest? How much can you
We've
purchase?
gone up to $1 million. And that's on the individual side. But I mean, we can still offer that at open enrollment.
Okay.
So all of that can be available to everyone at the time of enrollment.
I'm just curious, why do you cut it off at 100?
That's a decision that's a decision that's made above my pay grade.
For us old
I
folks,
had intentions of buying it, but if. You
can only get 50.
I don't want to pay all that, those years in, and then when I'm 100 years old, lose the benefit.
Right, but and rather than being a whole life policy, which does accrue the cash value, the rates for this are a lot lower and they're
It's a
affordable.
term life. I understand.
Yes, sir.
Can a fat old man get $1 million policy?
Lisa's not gonna pay that for you.
She might kill me, I'm not getting it. If I get $1 million life insurance, I'm worth more dead than I'm
Lisa's already
alive.
got insurance, you don't know it.
Honey, eat your cereal.
Do you have any questions?
I don't have one. If anyone else, any other board member have a question?
I have a little question. If
Yes,
someone
ma'am.
becomes an employee at 30 and their premium, let's say, is $80 a month, as they age, if they're with us for 40 years, does the premium rise with their
No.
age?
It's
So it's
rate
locked in?
premium locks in at the
Non-variable?
time of enrollment.
Okay, great.
It doesn't change every 5
So it's
years.
fixed.
It is a fixed premium at the time of enrollment. So if they get it on their children and their child is 5 years old, they're locking in that rate. That person will pay for, and then they could transfer the payment when the employee retires. They can just transfer it to a bank draft, and if the child is of age at that point, they can pick up the premium. Any other
Okay,
questions?
Thank you so much.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Yeah.
We need a motion to add her to the, I'll make a motion that we add
As an option.
as an option during open enrollment in October.
Okay, then second.
I feel.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All
No.
opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Yeah, I like to recycle, so.
Item 6 is,
And you might need.
order adopting Harrison County's budgeting and levies for fiscal 2022 and 2023.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Seven, order approving the budget of the Harrison County Development Commission for fiscal 22 through 23.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All
No.
opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Item 8, order approving the budget for Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
fiscal,
whoa. Is that right?
I see.
fiscal 20.
Did they ask
We got-
for raises?
Let's go back. Bill, did y'all give a 7% pay raise?
That's what was proposed in the budget, yes, sir.
Well, we gave a 5%. I think, you know,
If I recall, you stood before the board and said that you would follow suit with the,
that's what he's saying.
Yes.
That's what he
Exactly
said.
So,
So that reflect our approval is for the 5% pay raise.
Only, not in addition to the 7.
Oh, yeah, only. That's
Right. Totally.
Lowering from 7 to 5.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
look up on 7.
you- you
Just
would-
stay within what our other,
is that amendment, Marlon?
yeah, that's,
I second the amendment to Marlon's motion concerning 5% budget,
Okay, is there any further discussion?
5%
To
raise.
make sure what we're talking about, the budget is approved,
At 7%.
no, the budget is approved subject to them reducing their raise for employees to 5%.
couldn't have
That's
said
the
it better
motion.
myself.
Yes, thank you.
Just
Thank
trying to
you.
make sure we get it on the record.
Thank you,
Right.
right,
Thank you.
that's exactly what
Sorry.
it
Okay.
is. You read my mind. Thank
So
you.
all in favor of that amended item? All
Aye.
opposed? That motion carries. Act number 8, order approving the budget for Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College for 22-23 fiscal year.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the budget for Harrison County School District for 2022-23 school year. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the budget for Harrison County Utility Authority.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Recognize Mr. Brett Bird with BXS Insurance.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
How are y'all?
Good.
Good.
I'm gonna pass some things out real quick. I'm gonna try to keep this brief and simple and not make it a big piece.
Got you, people like me.
There you go. Got plenty to pass around. Try to kill them one at a time. And let's see, I'll go ahead and pass this out. This would be the recommended plan change. It's not set in concrete, and I'll discuss this a little bit more. A little bit more on that to go through.
This is great.
Just look at the highlight in the red. No, it is.
My translator.
Just look at the red, simple. Which is,
All right, good morning. This is a follow-up from a meeting we had a few weeks ago discussing the upcoming renewal of the health insurance. I don't think Blue Cross is doing a terrible job. I don't think that the rates are astronomical with Blue Cross. I think part of the issues are some of the employees are having trouble getting things done. There's a lot of red tape.
Keep in mind, the rates is not the only thing, it's the service that you get and what they pay and how much
Correct.
they pay.
and
Correct.
we're not covering a lot of the diabetic
Exactly.
Correct.
drugs, a lot of drugs.
Well, and they're making the decision a lot of times to say, well, we think you should be on this drug because it's
And our
cheaper.
doctor.
Right, exactly. So through all the discussions we've had and some of the issues we've dealt with along the way, it's our recommendation to look at going back self-funded with SAS. We met with Kent Nico not long ago. SAS is part of the Memorial Hospital Group as well as the TPA. And so their goal was, let's create a community health plan for the employees of the county, the city, and basically anybody in Harrison County that we want them to come to the hospital to receive services. By doing so, we want to give a better discount than what you're used to getting. So as he stood arm in arm with us saying, yes, we're going to do that, we went back to him to make sure the numbers add up on paper. So that's what's in front of us right here, where you see Harrison County at the top, 1/1/2023. I won't go through all the specifics, but the main one we want to look at is the highlighted number down below, the expected annual cost. That's where taking all the claims you've had for this past year and throwing them back through the new program, they expect you to land there with your fixed cost and with the claims costs that were incurred. Now, it could be a little more, a little less, but there's about a $1.2 million buffer in there based on where you are today. The other part of that was we were waiting on Blue Cross to give us a solid renewal so we have a comparison. They gave us the verbal, we don't have it in writing, but it's going to be a 2% increase, which is about a $200,000 increase to the plan. So that spread keeps getting bigger. We went to United Healthcare, they gave us a quote, they were 5% above your current, which is the very bottom number there. You see that's about 7.3. So I believe about 4 or 5 years ago when the decision was made to leave self-funded to go fully insured, at that point it was about 7.8 million is where the county was. So going fully insured was a great decision because it's, yeah,
At the time.
at the time.
Now it's back up.
Well, and I'm not saying it was ever a bad decision. It's just, there's a lot of red tape involved in being fully insured. You're at the mercy of what the carrier says. Now, you still have to.
Like most insurance, when they were selling that program, they probably lowballed a little bit to get into the system. And then like car insurance and everything else, next year or two, you're paying back up for
That's right. I mean,
much or more.
yeah, that's right. Well, and Cigna did a pretty good job. Blue Cross has done a decent job, but it's just everybody's getting tighter and tighter. The communication's harder to reach somebody. The issues are there.
Brad, let me ask you a question in reference to the Memorial Hospital.
Yes, sir.
What obligation does our employee or when it becomes a patient somewhere to use Memorial, or do they have a choice to go to another doctor or another hospital, and what would be the difference in the cost then?
So what I did, and this can be discussed even further as far as plan design is concerned, but I went back and met with SAS and talked to the hospital. I think it would be better and easier for the employees to offer one plan with 3 tiers. Basically, if you stay in Memorial, here's your cost. And that was on the second page I passed out. That's your far left column. If you want to go to Ochsner or anywhere else, it looks just like the plan you have today. So you're going to have your same deductible, your co-pays. Prescription drugs are the same across all the plans. And we're removing the prescription drug deductible in the new plan as well. So there's a lot of advantages, but instead of saying, hey, you've got to go get a referral from this doctor to go to MD Anderson for this procedure, we're just going to layer it to say, hey, if you go to Memorial, you're going to pay a lot less as an employee. But if you choose you don't like Memorial or you have a doctor you'd rather go to, you can still go to them, and here's what it's going to cost you $35 instead of $20.
What happens if the service is not available at Memorial, some sort of specialty?
Then it's going to revert back to the tier 1.
Back to tier 1?
Correct,
If
because
it's not available there, it goes back to tier 1.
Correct. That's because the idea is to say, if Memorial can't do it, then we're not going to punish the employee and say they have to. They'll be able to do about 99% of everything we need them to, but there are the one-off situations. There would be possibly an experimental treatment that they say, hey, we think you should do that. And then as a county, we can say, hey, we want to approve that or we don't.
Barrett, are you saying that you don't have to have a referral from a physician, that you can make that choice on your own?
You can, as far as if you want to go to Memorial or you want to go to an Ochsner doctor or whatever. There's a difference in the level If you went to a Memorial, you're gonna pay $20. If you go outside of a Memorial doctor, it's $35. But if it's a referred out from a Memorial doctor because they can't do it, then it just stays in that tier
But you
one.
still need a referral from your primary physician.
If they can't do that
If
procedure.
they can't do it. Okay.
Correct. But that's the way insurance would work on any plan.
I don't know about the rest of the board, but I'm all
Me
about
too.
going
Yeah.
back to being fully funded,
Yeah.
like y'all are.
Yeah.
Because employees
Yeah.
have a hard time, and I know that diabetic medicine is about $1,000, and
Yeah.
on this plan, it won't be $1,000.
We weren't, it was obvious that, and I know from my own personal experience, and I'm sure other employees had the same thing, it was obvious that we were paying less,
We were
but the
looking at.
services were
Way
less,
less.
and they were
Yeah.
paying, we had to pay more for the service.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and go with SAS. It'll be January 1, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you. Recognize Kenneth Jones, Gulf Coast Development and Design.
Howdy.
Morning.
Morning.
All right, Kenneth Jones, Gulf Coast Development Design, thanks for getting me back here today. We turned in a more detailed presentation to y'all report a couple of months ago and just able to get in front of you today. So I'm gonna try and go through really quickly. Stop me if you have any questions on a particular thing, and have questions at the end too. But let's see. So this is what we're supposed to give to you guys on this project. It's basically a roadmap to move forward from here on out. And our main discovery is that coastal resilience is necessary. Of course, we see it every single time a hurricane comes, piers, stormwater structures, everything else gets damaged. Sometimes it's worse when it's not as a severe of a storm because those things are getting wave crashed all the time and have more damage. And we are very high on erosion. I know there's been some debate and some costs that y'all been talking about redoing the Harrison County beach and areas that we've lost to erosion. And then as far as just our overall coastal resilience score from the Nature Conservancy, it's a medium to high risk, which obviously isn't very surprising to anybody. There's similar projects being completed all over the coast, especially even this area, all over the country and all over the world to look for some of this kind of stuff. The biggest thing that we have that's different than a lot of places is our tourism. The tourism aspect that we have on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, especially the 26 miles of beachfront that a lot of these other places don't have. So I'm gonna go talk about some of these in detail later, but the one on the top left is actually in Bayou Battery. It's kind of similar to our project, except for the swimming lagoon kind of thing in the middle. And it's been through 4 storms. It has had amazing success. It hasn't had any real maintenance that's had been done to it since then. So Nature Conservancy did that, got the funding for it, got the funding for the research, and was able to implement it, and it's been successful as well. So there are other projects that are similar, not the same. Again, the biggest thing is doing this in a tourism environment. So a lot of projects have failed here, including those stormwater outfalls and some of those other things, because they weren't aesthetically pleasing. They were worried about the effect on tourism. So how do we do something that we know has to be done without damaging the tourism industry? And that's what we have to figure out. So again, what has to be, or what should be done? How do we balance functionality with aesthetics? How much is it going to cost, and how are we going to pay for it? So the Corps of Engineers had this. I have not vetted all of this, but it was on their website. I'm sure some of y'all have seen this slide before, but about $2.5 billion has been spent on restoration projects. Major part of that is like the islands and stuff like that since Katrina. And the problem, of course, with that is a lot of it doesn't have resiliency factors built in. There's not a barrier that's breaking up waves on Ship Island to keep us from having to do that process again.
after several more hurricanes. So talking about this, swimming lagoons, I want to make sure I kept this slide in there. We're not trying to get Caribbean water. We're not thinking we're going to get Caribbean water. The whole thing is to clarify it, potentially to look like Ship Island. And the main thing is protect the beach and shoreline piers, stormwater pipes, and filter the stormwaters and use some natural features to be able to do that. The potential test site, we actually think that we may want to break this up into 2 or 3 smaller sites, but this is the site that we were tasked to analyze first, and it is on the west side of the Island View, and that we chose that site originally because of the parking that's available there. There's a park, there's a tour, there's hotels, restaurants, everything else that's in walking distance to the site. This was the original design, and through this, we kind of ended up going on a trip randomly to Key West during this, and we went to a dolphin excursion thing, and this was literally there, and it's in Key West, and right to the left of this is where the dolphin habitat is, but they basically built a very similar project here. So it's like a breakwater on the outside, then another one on the inside, and it goes in and out through tidal flow and stuff like that. And so kind of redesigned it a little bit, adding some circulation. And we met with a lot of other people, DMR and Core and everything else. One of the main factors was circulation in those ponds. How do we make the flow happen so there's no stagnant water? And so adding some fountains. This is a rendering of the project. There's the port coming out and the stormwater pipes coming. So I've added some things, so not as much question, but combining the stormwater outfall pipes, plantings along Highway 90, and then oysters on the backside of the beds facing the water that's coming in from a breakwater, tourism areas in the middle, using the sand beach and the dredging to dredge this whole area to 8 to 10 feet deep in the middle.
John, let me ask you an engineering question. I'm curious to see if the fact that you got the harbor extending out by that particular test site, would that have anything to do with the effectiveness of the test site? For example, if you were to move way down westward where you didn't have the harbor as sort of a
Port, you mean?
excuse me, the port.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
That's okay.
you're right, the port. If you had the port, if you didn't have the port, would that affect the effectiveness of the proposed vision that you're?
So I first say not an engineer, but there's definitely different aspects depending on where this is. So
Well,
my partner,
I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that if you were to put that test site there,
yes, sir.
with the harbor, the port out there, how would you account for the port as opposed to if it were not there? What I'm saying is it might affect the data that you would receive as far as clear water,
Agreed.
sand movement, those kinds of things that you're trying to stop or achieve.
No, I completely agree with you. And then part of this as well is like the oysters and things. I mean, these won't be edible because of that vicinity to the port. There'll still be cleaning water and things like that. But in another location, to your point, those oysters could have edible, if it's done in Pasker's Jam where the old oyster reef kind of areas were, they have a propensity to be potentially edible. But I agree with you. Part of this presentation in the next couple of slides is I would actually recommend that we do 2 to 3 smaller sites. Not too small to get the area that we need and the depth of the thing, but to break it up, it'll break up the impacts and you'll learn a lot more because there's going to be different things. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, through this is just a kind of a roadmap of like, this is an idea. We have engineering that has to be done on this whole thing to make sure all the parts and pieces work of this. But one reason that the Corps of Engineers seemed like this may be a viable site and a good testing spot too is because of the impact to the surrounding area that's already been done. So when you have things that have, first of all, the 26 miles of beach has already been impacted, the natural, area of it. But the more impacts that you have with the port and harbors and various other things, it's like, okay, it's not a big deal to try something else that's out here.
So would this be $22 million just for that one area?
just for the, it's about a mile.
Yeah, $22 million for one mile.
And it seems like, I mean,
What's it gonna cost?
And I was gonna get to that in a little while.
Yeah.
It took my breath away at the first when we started going through all this, but also, you look at how much we've spent on restoration projects and how much we continue to
But the
spend every
restoration
single
is
time.
the sand, baby. It's
But
not
you-
the water. It's only the sand, put the sand out.
I'm just saying in general, all the restoration projects we've done, two
But
point
it's-
five
we
billion.
don't do the water. So what you're talking about doing is not what we're spending money on.
And my point being, I think it's much better long-term to be able to have that tourism thing and have a resilience so it doesn't continue to happen over and over again, you know? But I understand, we went high on purpose.
I love the idea, but man, it's just expensive.
Have any idea about getting the money, where you would get the money for something like that? Have y'all looked into that as far as grants? I know you mentioned the Corps of Engineer. I don't know if, what they would say or do about it, but do you have any idea? If you're talking about $22 million just for that small area.
So these are the other sites. Let me get to that slide real quick so I can talk intelligently with it. But these are a couple of the other sites that we did, obviously close to harbors and things like that, close to parking restaurants. And then the Nature Conservancy has done and is doing projects similar to this. So they're getting it to where it's fully funded for the initial studies, and I mean, Lightning Point was fully funded, and it's been developed and maintaining studies, ongoing studies and things like that
I
are
think
being
it's
done.
relatively easy to get money for studies. I'm talking about the actual construction, once the studies are in, where would they be available funds somewhere? for that?
So these are the funding sources that we identified.
Is this for the study or for the actual
That,
construction?
both.
Both?
Yes, sir.
He's got Restore Act,
DQ, Go Mesa,
Yeah.
NDA Restoration, Tylen's Trust, some of them are planning and some of them are actual stuff, but I mean, there's dredge fundings in the new Biden infrastructure bill. I mean, there's various ones that could be either paired together because there's so many different facets of this project. I mean, we have the natural part about it. I mean, it's not just a tourism project, right? I mean, hopefully that's the benefit of it, is that we develop something that enhances the tourism that we already have here, at the same time as protecting us and giving some more of like a natural surroundings to the barrier that's gonna protect us against storms and tidal flow and stuff like that. So I think there's a bunch of buckets of money at the point to be able to fund various aspects of it.
yeah, none of which come to 22 million.
Mr.
I think there's a lot more.
We get less than $1 million, go make some, how much we get, right at $1 million, but it's already obligated. And then
We're getting
Yeah.
more. We're getting more.
and then, how much do we get?
Well, Jennifer just left out, but I think it's over 2 million.
Okay, 2
But
million.
we have about 4.
But in half of that's already committed, so then how much of the, Tidelands money? I don't think we got $1 million total.
It wouldn't be just y'all, by the way.
Yeah.
Let me just finish. So we get that, and then I don't know what the, Army Corps Engineer, I didn't know they had.
The only way probably feasible to do this with some of those funds that you're talking about, and I think you can do it, some of them might not allow you to do it, but you can actually borrow money if you dedicate those funds, which are generally renewable on a yearly basis, for, to bond, to issue bonds through those funds,
Mr. Kent,
or to use those funds as the debt service. Then you could get a lot more
Stretch
up
it out.
front, stretched out, but some of them might and some of them might not. I'm not that familiar with them. But that is really, when you stop and think about it, to do something that they're talking about is probably the only feasible way to do it.
I might suggest too that if a contract were made with someone like the Gulf of Mexico program, which is a overall study, constant study of the Gulf of Mexico and its waters, that this would be something that they would be interested in
Well,
doing
actually-
and using us as a tech, continue to use us as the guinea pigs that we are, because our Mississippi Sound is so different.
That's right.
Actually, that is the committee that Supervisor Rocco and I
Go
Go
into
into.
the cost.
So with your permission, I'd be happy to bring this program to them. It's the 5 Gulf States Council is what we're a
You
part
might
of.
wanna try to attend.
Yeah,
I'd love to, yeah, I
It's in
mean,
Corpus Christi in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, we can give you
We'll
the
give you the
information.
info, but I mean, that would be all 5 Gulf states.
That's
Texas,
the-
Louisiana,
And the-
Mississippi.
that's the Gulf Coast Alliance,
It's
right?
all, no,
No, this is Gulf Coast, 5
is-
states,
through NACO.
Caucus.
It's
through the
national.
National Association of Counties.
It's the coastal counties and parishes from Florida all the way to Louisiana.
Texas.
Great.
Texas.
Oh, Texas, I'm
That's why
sorry.
I'm going to,
And they're all coastal. They're not
Mhm.
any part of the north.
but see if they would maybe go in.
It's a great idea. I mean, Harrison County is not the one that's going to be, I don't think y'all would be the one doing everything, right? So, I mean, partnering with somebody like them, the Nature Conservancy, who has experience of doing it, y'all need to be project sponsor because you own and manage the beachfront, right? But I mean, we all, including us, like, we need somebody that has done similar projects before, that knows how to get the funds, where to get them, how to allocate them year over year and stuff like that, and look in this correct budgets. And through our research, I mean, I think that y'all, I'd love to go to that, but,
Well, I
and
think
just
we-
having the backing of them, even if, for
That's what I
example, the
was gonna
Nature
say.
Conservancy wants to still be the one and having the back and say, yeah, let's do this, this is an
Well, I'll
awesome
make a
thing,
motion that
be
we
huge.
take it under advisement, and Connie, you'll give them the information, and I'll definitely
Please.
talk it up, but it's about 2 weeks, I know it's kind of short notice. I didn't realize you were this far along, but I think it'd be worth your while.
Cool, yeah, absolutely.
Can I say,
Well, if you don't,
John, just
then
so
you
you
might do it.
make sure I know what Ms. Mark was saying, the county's actual jurisdiction is 230 feet from the seawall easement out.
Okay.
Into the Gulf, what it's found falls in the DMR, the state, it's in the county, so the county has some authority out there, but not.
That's, yeah.
They don't have authority to build something more than 230 feet south of that seawall. And the only thing we've got to do south of the seawall is to maintain the beach and keep it open to the public.
And see, that's where I was
Responsible
going
for that. But going out in the water is a whole different thing. Now, the board can provide funding to other agencies that choose to do it, but keep in
So
mind.
we did meet with the Secretary of State, DMR, and everybody is part of all this. They're all on board with, doing the homework.
Pursuing the next steps, like,
I was trying to say, they have to be first up.
That's a good idea.
They're not gonna like these playing
With
with
the Secretary of
the county's
State.
first up.
I make a motion to take under advisement.
Second the motion to take under
And
advisement.
we're gonna follow
Just
up
one,
with you.
just
on
one
this.
thing that I would suggest that we do, be careful about spending millions of dollars for studies
Yeah, I don't
without
like that.
somewhat assurance that those projects can be funded, how they're gonna be funded, because we waste money. We spend $1 million worth for a study, it sits up on a shelf, that's ridiculous.
Agreed.
If we're gonna approve a study, then we need to have some certainty how we're gonna finance the actual construction of what the study is studying.
Well, yeah, that was my
100%.
motion to take under advisement, but I
Yeah.
think when we go in Corpus Christi,
If there's
if
sources
they're
of
willing to
funding,
come up with some actual money to do it, not to study it again, because y'all studied it, which we like you've done your homework on it.
We've done some initial stuff, but there's definitely, I mean, the biggest part of the next step would be engineering part, things
yeah,
like that, so.
y'all's cost for what you've done is what did we approve?
It was like 12,000.
$12,000, yeah.
It definitely didn't include engineering.
It didn't cover your cost?
It's
Okay.
fine. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Recognizing Susan Jones, Executive Director of
Mr. Jones.
Human Resources Center.
Here's the invite. That's the company.
Hello again. How are y'all? This is just a little something in here. It has a copy of our letter, our mission statement, some of our statistics, as well as our current board of directors. And I'll give you one, I have a couple more that I will. Okay. Anyway, so I was here about this time last year and asked for some help, some funding for the Women's Resource Center. And since that time, I've understood that we might not fit what you can actually fund us for.
Well, we can, let me just clarify for you. You're not an actual county employee.
Right.
And your group is not recognized by the state legislature for us to fund. However, if you have certain type of fundraising events
Yes,
that we could advertise county resources, our attorney told us during our budget hearing, because that was brought up.
Okay.
Aerials, and I think Supervisor Powers might have missed that, but we did bring it up, and he said we can do it through our escrow.
Okay.
Correct, Mr.
You can do it
Collins?
through advertising county resources, what funding source comes from, goes to the board.
You just can't give a general contribution
just
to it, it has to be an activity, as I understand it. You
Okay.
understand?
Yeah, so that.
okay, and I wanted to ask you what you were talking about. We are recognized by the state as a,
Not by the state as a part of a county.
Yeah, let
Oh, part of a county,
attorney,
okay.
he'll explain
Okay.
what I was
Okay.
trying to tell you, yeah.
Right, I mean, there's a statute that enumerates what the county can donate to.
right.
The Women's Resource Center does not fit into that statute, so the only other funding source the county can do is advertise county resources, which is a different issue. But if, and I sent this to Ms. Powers, if you are a rape crisis center or you counsel victims of domestic violence, there is authority under the donation statute to contribute to those two type organizations. I didn't know I know what the Women's Resource Center does, but I didn't know if you also did. I
Well,
would
we,
think in the business y'all in, you would have people that are victims of rape.
absolutely,
and
in fact, we
victims
see
of-
it all. We do
Do
see
you
it
have a
all.
counselor on staff?
We do not have we do what yes, exactly. We have what are considered peer counselors. We do not have licensed counselors, although that is something we're looking into.
But
at the present.
we could give her like 10,000 off our escrow account, correct?
If the board of
She's
If you
education,
have an
Something.
event. Don't you
Okay.
have events?
Yes, well, see, I know, and I went back and y'all kind of explained that in 16, 17, 18, and 19, when you did donate,
Right.
it was for a guy. Well, unfortunately, in 20 and 21, they had to cancel. So we didn't have anything that year. And unfortunately, those 2 years, we operated at about a 40% deficit.
Now, do you have something coming
We
up?
do. We had something. Unfortunately, y'all did not do it. Was Biscuits for Babies in May, which was wonderful.
Well,
It was
send
at the
us a letter.
chimneys.
Did you
I
send
did.
it?
Yes,
Who'd
I
you
did.
send it to?
I'd have to go back and look. In fact, it could have been Rebecca. My sister could have sent
Oh, your
something to. Yeah. Anyway, it was wonderful. It
Well,
was
address
at.
it to like Rebecca Powers.
Powers,
since
okay.
it's her district.
I'm not sure. I'll have
Oh,
to
you're
find out.
happy, I mean, I'm happy to
Yes.
send it to me if you'd like.
Okay. And then we are December 6th at the Great Southern Club.
Okay.
We are going to have a gala.
Well,
And so that will
When
be.
you write your letter,
Mhm.
and if that's okay, Ms. Powers.
Yeah, I know,
address it to
absolutely.
you.
Okay.
Write the letter and put how you'll advertise county resources.
Absolutely. And
If
I.
that would be, on Facebook or
Right.
in a program, or I'm sure
Right.
you're gonna have all that.
Oh, absolutely.
So that would be good.
And
The
then
other, the
I'm
other
sorry.
alternative that you have is to go to the legislature. We did that. We went to
Right.
Feed My Sheep.
yes, in
And you
2017, I
can also
saw that.
Go
Mhm.
there and
They
ask
might
them
answer.
Yes.
if there would be,
Yes.
to have the legislation changed. And local and privates are not that difficult to,
Okay.
usually, to
Okay.
get.
I will definitely look into that.
But in
I
the
can send
meantime.
it to you if you need it.
Please do. Yes,
I send
I
you
would
what to
be.
do with Feed My Sheep.
Mhm.
And you can ask Leslie, can I make a suggestion, if we're gonna do advertise county resources at $10,000, can we go ahead and make a finding that they they act as a rape crisis center, which means place established to provide care, counseling, and related services of victims of rape, attempted rape,
No,
sexual
because
harassment.
that's not what they do.
You don't do that.
No.
We don't, but I will tell you,
Alright.
we do refer people out every day. For
I see.
example, if somebody comes to us and we assess them and they realize that they are domestic abuse, we send them to the center of, we make the contact and we send them over. And we do that to all of the county agencies, all of the cities, we do that for everything. That's what we do. We connect women within our community to different
Yeah.
resources. In fact, I really want to be part of the advocacy center. I know it's a wonderful center. We were set for the Wednesday before our Biscuits for Babies, but there was gonna be a class and I think it was canceled. but I would like to see us have a monthly presence there. We have the wherewithal and the power to be able to do that. So I can see us partnering in more than just advertising, and, which is wonderful, but, you know, I could see us doing other things. Like I said, my monthly presence at the advocacy center, or y'all could have information at boards at our center with all of your different resources posted, anything that comes up. I am
See,
willing
that's
to.
advertising. as long
Yes,
as long as you put
absolutely.
Well, if you send your
What you
request
gotta
to
be careful.
Supervisor Powers, then
You
I'm sorry.
kind of walking a just advice to the board, you better be careful with this advertising county resources. I'd like to, what is the gala?
What it is,
Because what you're doing,
Well, the gala is more
it
of
has
what
to be
I call it.
some, correct me, Tim, if I'm wrong, it has to be some type of an event or something that's going on, not just that
okay,
under their general function,
okay.
what they normally do.
Well, just send us a letter.
I just want to be careful, because I'd like to vote for it, but I'm not gonna vote for it unless I'm sure
Yeah, I
that
don't
it
wanna
comes
do
under
that.
the auspices of advertising county resources.
But look, this thing's not till December.
It's
so if
December
you can
6th,
get us
yes,
a letter.
uh-huh.
We meet again on the 25th.
Okay,
Or we meet the first and second Monday of every month.
and that's great,
So
because
if
by
you
the
miss
25th, we should
25th,
know a lot more about.
Then send us a letter the first part of November then.
Okay.
For that,
The
for
letter
that
has to
particular
be-
event.
You understand what I'm trying to ask?
Let's say how you're gonna advertise the county.
Absolutely. Okay, I understand.
Once you get the letter, we'll look at it, I'll look back at the AG's
I'll
bid to make sure we're okay. It's pretty broad, Marla, it doesn't necessarily have to be
26.
an advertisement per se, that's what we've been doing, but it actually just depends on the facts, if the board adjudicates it's necessary.
Okay.
Advertise a
I don't wanna
resource of
do
the
it until we
county.
get the letter. We got time.
You don't have to do
Yes,
anything
we
until you get the letter in question.
So if you'll just send
Okay,
us
I
a
will,
letter.
I will do that.
So we're off the
And then
table
you're
on
gonna
that.
email me
I'll email you
the information about going to the legislature about the,
I'll email you the feed my sheep bill.
okay, I actually have that bill,
Okay.
yeah,
You
so
need to-
bill.
You have a lobbyist, you need to hire your own
I have.
attorney and lobbyist
Yeah.
and get them to work on
No.
it. Just copy that bill.
Okay,
If you need help, I'll draft it for you for free for the county, just to help.
Well, thank you.
Email
Thank
it to
you.
me and I'll
okay,
help
great.
you.
I don't.
And the next meeting is
Draft
November
it.
26th.
Okay, on the 26th. Okay, I will definitely at least try to get the letter about the gala on December 6th, and then other stuff. But thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And here's another.
All right, next,
Okay.
To the gala.
next we have the consent agenda, items 14 through 17 have been placed on the consent agenda. Same appearing to be routine, non-controversial matters with our supervisor, like to agree.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing the board president to execute the letter of authorization with data code data for the processing and mailing of 2023 personal property condition forms.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 19, order acknowledging the receipt of and approving petitions for decreases to the 2015-2021 personal property road as recommended by the tax assessor.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order acknowledging receipt of and approving petitions for increases to the 2022 real property roll as recommended by tax assessor.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 21, order acknowledging receipt of and approving petitions for decreases to the 2022 real property roll as recommended by tax assessor.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 22, order spread upon the minutes the personnel changes to the tax assessor's office as listed and on file with payroll clerk and personnel department.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order spread upon the minutes personnel changes to the tax collector's office as listed and on file with the payroll administrator and human resource department.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 24, order amending section 7.024 of contract with BMA for Cuevas de Lille Road Bridge from 2,000 to 10,000 dollars to cover actual testing requirements and consistent with state aid guidance on construction material testing. The written contract was based on estimates prior to design. Revised amount reflects actual testing requirements. Grant funding is available to cover 100% of the cost for testing, as recommended by Jacqueline Turner.
Motion?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, do we have a grant? Or there's only something available?
I hope so, because the bridge is about halfway through.
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
we do have a grant and the money has already
Yeah,
been received and
yeah,
it's in the
we-
bank to cover it.
And the testing requirements have escalated, correct?
Right, it was based on an estimate and this is the actual cost, but
Just
there is
like-
funding to cover all of it.
Just out of curiosity, if testing deal with the pilings, driving the pilings, that y'all had to go deeper or something with them?
No, sir, it's, the actual
Concrete
construction
asphalt.
materials that we'll be using, asphalt, earthwork, and that, the testing for the pilings has been.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing advertising for the metal roof and side replacement for the Harlan Harrison County Fire Service Station as recommended by Jacqueline Turner.
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 26, order approving the line item transfer in the amount of $3,500 from 001260 543 to 001260 919 for the purpose of purchasing 3 laptop computers from Best Buy to replace the existing. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order now approving transfer of the funds in the amount of $3,960 from 106250 500 to 106250 for the purchase of Metro toy brackets.
Motion.
Three engines. Motion?
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order authorizing amendment to 106250641 in the amount of $45,607.56 for the purchase of 1 back door for Station 4 County Farm Road and Station 5 Canal Road. Motion.
Motion?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
We'd like to hear,
Go ahead. Yep.
we'd like to hear items 29 to 37. These are the regular cases that went to the planning commission, and we would like you to concur with the planning commission's recommendation.
Motion to concur.
Second.
Discussion, this codifies the conditional use permit for the location of the cannabis businesses, right? And then the swimming pool. The next one will be the swimming pool.
We did that text amendment.
Y'all did that.
What is this one doing?
This one is for the lot sizes, the text amendment.
Which y'all decided last week.
We didn't decide.
The table,
Yeah. we
well, this
decided.
takes it off the table and approves it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't vote to take it off the table.
No, I have not.
She included it in her 29.
That's number 29.
You
I didn't take it off the table.
Second.
But, no, it has
What
to
is
be.
y'all think?
What we're doing?
Took it off the table.
the text
29,
amendment.
I could have sworn she said 29 or
29,
something.
337.
29 takes it off the
Let's
table.
take it off the table.
No, we're not taking it off the table. It's not been clarified. Conditions have not been met.
New language is in italics, they did meet it.
This is the lot sizes, for, so you talking about the lot sizes, right? From-
Yeah.
What sizes, from 60, a minimum 80?
Went from 6,000 to 10,000 square foot for type 1 in the R1 and R2. And the minimum lot width went from 60 to 75 for the 10,000 square foot. Then we also have the conservation where we requested for 6,000 square foot and instead of 50-foot lots to 60. And then, in the R2 district, they also recommended for, 3 acres for the density, with also the same conservation.
There's a motion on the table.
Yeah, I made a motion,
Okay.
29.
Second.
Whatever it was, 30 cents.
I just have one, ma'am, question. District 5, moving, they wanna change, their residential and add all their property together. I'm not sure which one that is. And, for the purpose of building a 2-car garage, do we need to change that amendment? I mean, it doesn't make sense to have to change your zoning from from A1 to R2 just to build a 2-car garage. It doesn't make sense to me. Medium density, it's number 37, I'm sorry. And I'm not saying it's something that we take into consideration today, but if you have A1, that's agricultural, you should be able to build a barn if you wanted, or a structure. Seems logical, but to have to change to R2 just to build a 2-car garage doesn't compute with me.
What it is that, the owners of the property, own a piece of land that's already zoned R2 with their house, and this piece is like on the front part of Barber Road, and they wanna combine them together,
Oh,
so
so
in
they wanna
order to
move.
combine it, they have to rezone the little .46, which is less than 15 acres, which is our minimum now for A1.
But you see what I'm saying, if they combine it, then wouldn't it go under R2 anyway?
It would, change everything to the R2 district,
Okay.
to, match what the house is under.
Just, didn't understand.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear. I kept looking at it and thinking, why do you have to do that just to build a 2-car garage? But anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lord, for patience.
So, is there any further discussion?
The motion is to take that, recommendation off the table.
Right.
No, the
No,
motion,
there is no notion.
the motion, I'll restate, is to concur with the planning commission
Everything else
on
been done.
everything, 29.
We gotta take it off the table to do it.
29
It's
through
not-
37. 29 takes it off the table.
No.
It does. Y'all read 29. We're taking off the
Take it
table.
off the table.
My motion was 29 through 37. Y'all want me to do 29 separate?
You might have
To consider the others, you gotta take, to consider the
29
next,
takes it off
to
the table.
consider, 30, you got to take 29 off the table.
Okay. I'll move
To
that we
consider
take
number
29
30,
off
you
the
gotta take
table.
29 off the table because
Second.
it's tabled.
Okay,
Then your motion would be appropriate for all.
okay, well, we got a second.
Okay, we got a second to take off the table. Any further discussion? That's item 29. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Now I move that we concur with the planning commission
Yeah, you already
again,
voted on that.
30 through 37.
There you go.
We're all voting.
But that's not the,
No, it's not the subdivision, that's just the text amendment to the zoning law.
but sometimes.
Okay, next up,
Zoning.
okay, next up, order approving payment of claim listed.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order spreading upon the minutes and personnel changes of the sheriff's office as listed and on file with payroll clerk.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order concurring with the county administrator and employment as listed and on file with payroll clerk.
Motion.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order concurring with the road manager on employment as listed and on file with payroll clerk.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order concurring with the chancellor clerk on employment and personnel changes in the file with the payroll clerk and human resource department. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order designating any board supervisor, chancery clerk, county administrator, board attorney, and purchase clerk to serve on the selection committee to review the request for qualifications for recommendations for the board of supervisors of award of each of the following RFQs.
Motion. Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to make a substitute motion, Mr. President, to include the county controller on that committee.
You can get a second.
Second.
Any discussion on that substitute motion?
Yes, I have some. She was on there and I asked her to be removed because she is definitely conflicted with SMPED.
How's she conflicted?
Her best friend works here and she requested to be on this committee. And I'm not sure that would be proper, quite honestly.
Well, you realize you're on that.
Well, I
on that
was
too.
planning on sitting in there for that same reason. So I
Her
felt
best
like
friend?
since I've got.
I would just like to say that
excuse
would
me.
have no bearing on my professional
That's fine,
opinion.
Jennifer, but if I'm conflicted, I feel you are too. So I really think on the bond counsel part, we should probably ask Tricia as another attorney to be on there. Because I know it's not on there, but that's probably who we need.
But I think our comptroller is our financial, that is the person with the education and the information and the accounting degree and all of the things that specifically RFQs are dealing with massive amounts of money. I think it's a
I
no-brainer
know, but here's
to have
the
the
deal.
comptroller. We
She's
all have
not-
friends who
she's
work
not
in different
in,
departments.
any way qualified to do a bond counsel service. How would she know that?
Financial
know that.
consultant, I would say.
That's
is
not a
very
financial
qualified.
advisor. It says A, RFQ for bond counsel services, which last time I looked is an attorney. B is RFQ for a financial advisor.
I can't think of anyone more qualified than financial.
For financial, but not for bond counsel. I'll go with financial, but I ain't
Well,
going for bond counsel.
Who else is on there that's really not qualified?
Well, I'm not, because I'm conflicted.
I mean, I'm talking about, I don't
Oh,
want to get
she's
into
got more
personnel
time.
that much, but you could argue that some of the other folks that's gonna be on there are not qualified.
Well, don't we want qualified people on these committees?
So you're saying you're good with the financial advisor part B?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's the
so-
council, but I see that they got the board attorney. I just want to make sure we had an attorney to look at the bond council
Gotcha.
services, because that's another attorney.
Okay.
So if we could separate them,
So
I'm
the
fine
fact
with
is that
you.
nobody, what you're saying is on the bond council, nobody would be qualified except attorneys to consider the
Well,
RFP.
the county
and I
administrator,
disagree
but that's
with
who I
that.
think's qualified, yeah.
I
that's what I'm
disagree with
saying.
that.
Well, can we do them separate then?
Sure.
No, I want to vote
Okay.
on
that's
the
fine.
substitute motion.
Let's go with the second.
Well, we gotta vote on this motion.
You gotta vote substitute.
Okay,
motion.
all in favor of the substitute motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No,
Yeah,
No. No. We vote on them separate.
so then I'll make a motion that we approve A to include the comptroller. I mean, excuse me, B
B.
to include the comptroller. But A not to include the comptroller. That makes
So-
sense? Does that make sense?
Are these meetings separated though? I
You
didn't all
you
the
see what I
same.
don't understand, and I don't want to get
Oh,
into
okay.
personality, but what you're
Right.
saying is the purchase clerk is qualified, but the comptroller is not.
Not for A,
And
in my
for
opinion.
bond counsel, you're saying for bond counsel,
That's what I'm saying.
that the purchase clerk, who
I
else?
think on the purchase clerk.
Just
they have-
purchase
they do the
County
specifications.
administrator, any of us. I don't, but anyway, vote is the vote, vote on it.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Yeah, motion carries. Order for order spreading upon the minutes of this of the emergency.
Okay, I'm sorry, I
I don't
apologize.
know
Did we
what
just
the-
vote on? Yeah,
We
we have to
just
vote on
voted.
B.
So we agreed, no for Ms. Jennifer on A, but okay for B.
All that was in one motion.
That was in one motion.
Now,
Okay.
including the comptroller
I'm
on B.
including the comptroller for A only. I mean, excuse me,
B.
B only. I'm
For
sorry.
B, is what you,
So do
B
they
only.
meet separately or is this a moot argument?
Oh, I don't.
I mean, do A and B even meet separate? Well, we can move on, that's
They're
fine.
30 minutes apart.
They're
Okay,
30 minutes apart,
Yes.
okay.
so that's good.
Okay.
Who seconded your motion?
Sorry, bring me purchasing clerk.
that's what I'm
The
pointing out.
comptroller.
Yeah. Order-
That's what I'm pointing out.
Order spreading upon the minute, the list of emergency local state contract.
Did we
order
vote
issued.
on that?
Yes, sir.
On B?
Yes, sir.
I didn't mean to bring it personal.
No, but it's true, it's
Yeah.
definitely personal.
Order spreading upon the minutes a list of emergency local and state contract orders issued by the purchase department for the month of September 2022. Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Recognize the sheriff as the, or his representative as he reports the number of inmates currently held.
Current, we have 817, 34 misdemeanors, 136 females, 26 federal arrests, and 119 cleared state arrests.
Thanks. Thanks, Sheriff. Number 46, order approving the local purchase in the amount of $13,707 from Dufresne Building Supply for lumber supplies to build a fence at the Harrison County Training Academy, kept from 028-201-641.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 47, order approving the local purchase of floor coal for new flooring in the dispatch center at Harris County Building Detention Center in the amount of $20,246 payable from 029-215-902 and authorizing a 75% deposit as per task force.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order approving the interlocal agreement between the city of Long Beach and Harrison County, Mississippi for the Mississippi Office of Homeland Security Operation Stone Garden Grant Program fiscal year 2020-21 and authorizing the board president to execute same.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order approving mileage reimbursement in county's travel. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing the board president to execute the lost stolen affidavit, removing the following assets and authorizing the inventory clerk to remove the same from inventory.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing disposal of assets per attached list and authorizing the inventory clerk to remove the same. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Order authorizing payment in the amount of $9,264.51 payable from Hurricane Zeta Fund 177-000247, the Mississippi Coast Coliseum, the final FEMA reimbursement for CC project worksheet, and were received on 8/29/2022.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. 53, order approving claims as listed.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. President,
Yes.
may I be requested to be dismissed? I have some personal business I have to attend to.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 54, resolution finding and determining that the resolution declaring the intention of the Board of Supervisors of Harrison County, Mississippi to issue general obligation bond series 2022 of the county in a total aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $15 million, adopted on the first day of August 2022, duly published as required by law. No sufficient protest against issuance of bond described in said resolution has been filed by qualified electors. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Order approving by Mr. Joseph Stockwell to replace family members' headstone located at the Mississippi City Cemetery. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Wait, do we do that?
It's his residence, I mean, his relative, as I understand it. So the county owns the cemetery, and I think
Okay.
it would be proper for him to.
It's ours.
replace
Oh,
it.
okay. I'm just making sure.
We don't own the headstones.
Right. So why would you ask about replacing it?
It's a historic.
No, we're not doing, he's asking permission to replace it. It's a county cemetery.
I know.
I,
I'm just replacing.
I took it as purchase.
We're not paying for it, right?
No.
No,
Not
it's a
paying.
historical,
Okay.
but it's
Okay.
flat.
I think we did pass that. Didn't that pass?
Yes.
56, order acknowledging receipt of bids for the sale of surplus property known as the City of Diabloville Police Station located at 10274 3rd Avenue, Diabloville.
Yes, this is the same bids that we received last time, pretty much. So what do y'all wanna do? The building appraised for $250 and the house being $150. I just think sell it, but what do y'all wanna do?
It appraised for $250 and we're gonna sell it for
I
$150?
mean, we don't have to sell it, I was just, that's
Can-
the same
We
amount.
can't sell it for below appraised value.
Okay, so
I
then-
believe.
Motion to, so all we're doing is accept or receive the bid, so we're not gonna order. Okay, I'll move to accept.
Just so the board knows, you could hire a realtor. There's a statute allows you to hire a realtor that maybe market it better than it's being.
I agree.
If you
Maybe
wanted
we ought
to,
to
I'll
do
look at that
that.
statute.
Okay, yeah, because we're not getting anywhere.
Well,
So we need authorization.
Everything that we did was too late.
So just acknowledge it.
So 56, so 56, we acknowledge and receipt of, so is there any further discussion?
Second.
We got the second? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And then I'd like to make a motion to, like Tim said, find a realtor to market it, and get a
Oh, he's
higher.
gotta check the
Let me look at the
statute.
statute first.
Okay.
I'm going from memory, so I know it's there, but let's make sure what we're doing before we. do
Pam
it.
says we've done it before, okay.
57, order acknowledging receipt of Katrina supplemental community development block grant economic development quarterly report for the Gulfport Highlands.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving blood drive hosted by Harrison County EMA and Harrison County Sheriff's Department to be held on Saturday, September 21st, 2022 at the First Judicial District Courthouse in Gulfport.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Order adjudicating the employment of Timothy Holland and Boris Holland and Associates to represent Harrison County and A.L. Norris Hopkins Jr. and Hopkins Barbe and Hopkins PLLC to represent Sheriff Charles Peterson in the Harrison County Sheriff's Department in the litigation matters of Noah Don Fall versus Harrison County.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 60, order adjudicating the tax sale of August 31st, 2020 on tax parcel number 1410806101001 for 2019 tax erroneous and thus voided ab initio and for related purposes.
Second.
Discussion.
This was a piece of property owned by, had been conveyed to the city of Biloxi. It should have been exempt.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order adjudicating tax of August 29, 2022 on tax parcel number 0413C03018 000 for 2021 tax erroneous and thus void ab initio and for related purposes.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving temporary use of county equipment by the Mississippi Aquarium needed to assist in hosting annual Hancock Whitney Sea of Stars fundraisers at Jones Park on September 30th, 2022. Motion.
Motion.
Second for discussion.
Discussion.
Okay, so do y'all remember about 4 years ago? First of all, I don't know where the chairs are that they asked for. They asked for chairs and bleachers. The bleachers aren't available anyway, but about 4 years ago, I thought we all said we weren't gonna, we didn't have any chairs along the 4th of July rodeo. Asked for chairs and tables one time.
Okay.
And we told them no, because we couldn't find it. Mike Wilson found some somewhere, but we wouldn't do it because of liability. On the stage and the bleachers, we had passed an ordinance, not an ordinance, but a policy that we would only loan these to other county departments or the cities that we have interlocal agreements with. Now, unfortunately, they're not available anyway, but if Gulfport would have asked, I'd have been okay with it, because we have interlocal, but this Friends of the Aquarium, we don't have interlocal with. And I think, Ms. Bowers, you were probably not here when we said we were gonna do that.
Okay.
The reason was, we had, Black Spring Break was one of them, wanted to use the stage and the bleachers on the beach one year, and wanted to have a free concert, and we said no. Then Keesler asked for the same thing when the Thunderbirds were flying over, and we told them no, because it was Keesler was on the beach, but they were selling the seats for like a VIP thing.
Okay.
So anyway, that's what prompted it all. There was 3 or 4 groups. Most of them were promoters that wanted to have concerts. So that's when we agreed. I just want to make sure that's still kind of our rule. And I apologize because I don't think you knew at the
That's
time.
okay.
It's been about 4 years.
So even though
we
it's
still
open,
okay with that?
I mean, I
If
guess
it's a
it's
city
free
with
and
the-
open to the public,
I know, but
so
that's,
it's,
but so was the Black Spring Break concert on the beach.
okay.
But there was an issue, and same with Keesler, but it was an issue because of the liability. And what prompted that was, we got more and more and more requests.
Okay.
We had a guy at the fairgrounds that wanted to do a concert. He ended up doing it, but he bought his own stage, and
Okay.
now,
So you're saying it's not available for that date anyway?
it's not, the Outfield's using them actually for their cruising site, but just for future reference,
Okay.
just to let you know that from now on, maybe the city could ask, because we have interlocal with them.
So if Gulfport asks?
Then, yeah.
But they're not available anyway, so this is a
No.
moot point, okay.
But then the
The
chairs,
chairs are just-
I don't know what they're talking about with the chairs.
They
But
use
to
them
me,
out
it'd
of-
be the same thing.
I think they use them out of the community center, but they came back all
Banged up.
destroyed. when
That's
they-
kind of what prompted right before COVID, the bleachers had gone, I think, over to the fairgrounds. Anyway, it came back broke, and it took a long time to get apart. They're fixed now, because I know we used them at the horse show this last February, so they're okay.
Thank you, yeah.
But see, she didn't ask for them, the other department asked for them, Greg did, so that's, like, if
Okay.
she would ask for them, we'd have said no. But since Greg asked as the fairgrounds department,
Okay.
that made it okay.
Okay.
So we can vote this down and then make a motion to deny, since I seconded it so we could discuss it. So,
Okay.
All right, all in favor of the
approving is
approving
no.
it, yeah, all in favor of the order, say aye.
No.
All opposed? I don't know. We're not gonna approve it.
Y'all are gonna deny
So then I'll make
Yeah,
a
we'll do
motion
that.
to deny based on what I just said about it needs to be somebody we have an interlocal or another county department.
Right,
to
to
make
get a
the
second
request.
on that motion.
Second.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Order approving the use of the Diabloville Civic Center
By the city. Yeah.
by the city of Diabloville for cruising the coast on October 3 to 10, 2022, pursuant to the terms of the interlocal governmental cooperation agreement between the city of Diabloville and Harrison County.
Motion.
Second.
Is the date correct?
We're gonna change it 3 to 10.
No, it's not. So let's just say the September 30th through the 10th, because it's at some point during that week. 'Cause I couldn't figure it out.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 64, order authorizing and approving assistance for the lawn maintenance at the Diabloville High School within the city of Diabloville as per the terms of an interlocal governmental cooperation agreement between Harrison County School District and Harrison County.
Motion.
We gotta add the Harrison County School District to that too, because I think.
That's who asked.
I know.
The request is from the school board.
We have an interlocal agreement with Harrison County School District, so do it through both of them. We're covered.
Okay. Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Me.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 65, order adjudicating and authorizing expenditure as listed as necessary to advertise and bring to favorable notice to the opportunities, possibilities, and resources in Harrison County, Mississippi, including county logo being displayed along with the link displayed in Harrison County online.
Motion.
You second?
Motion.
I make a motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Sheriff, you have anything?
No, sir, I don't.
Stan, you have anything?
Just to report that the zoning, the person that we had selected for the zoning position, the director, has declined, and so we're gonna have to go out to re-advertise for that position. And we did
Don't
interview
cry.
for the HR director, and I'll be giving a, proposal for that position as well. That's all.
Okay. Supervisor Powell.
Greg, could you help me on this, please? Greg has brought to my attention a piece of equipment that we need.
Yes, we have a Ford tractor that we use to pull our back wind to cut the soccer fields and the fairgrounds, and the PTO clutch in it completely went out. And it's a 30-year-old tractor, and they don't make that PTO clutch anymore. So we're looking to
How much? I have to replace it.
$60,519.
Do y'all cut the soccer fields or does?
No, man, we don't. The Parks and Rec cuts it, but they use that piece of equipment. So they'll come to the fairground just to get the tractor and the bat wing, and they take it over to cut it.
So then, do you
So that
use it
should
for
come out of-
anything, or should we take it out of their budgets, my question is.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Ask that again.
So, do you use it for anything? 'Cause should we
Yes,
just
ma'am.
take it out of Parks and Rec's budget?
We pretty much use it 50-50. We use it just as much at the fairgrounds as they use at the.
So they need to pony up 30 grand.
That would be great.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good question, I think.
You cool with that?
I'm cool with
Is
that.
that, was that on state contract?
Yes, that is their contract
I
price.
mean, it's not fair for Greg to pay for it.
Yeah, thank you, I agree.
I don't think.
It's true.
So I make the motion that we get it, 30, half of 60,519.15 come from your budget, the other half comes from Park and Rec.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that good?
Yeah. I agree.
Since y'all shared, I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
you gotta take the bad with the good. Gotta share the expense.
And, thank you, Greg.
So I make that motion.
Oh, second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
And Greg, well,
Yes, ma'am.
if I may real quick. Several years ago, we told you or asked you to go ahead and try to get some bleachers and stuff for the fairgrounds.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
at one time, it was in your budget. Have you pursued it?
We got bleachers, but they were destroyed by one of the hurricanes. I'm not sure which one it
Get
was.
some more, because they
Yeah.
would be, because he uses on him in the Coliseum.
But now the bleachers that we did have, they were not portable bleachers. They were stationary
Get
bleachers.
some portable
Get
ones,
some
that
portable.
way, because see
All
what happens is, and I ain't picking on Greg, because
Yes,
you know we
ma'am.
work well together. But we got two guys that go from that end of the county to all the way to that end of the county. It's two $20 an hour guys. It takes a good half a day to drop them off and another half pick them up. Where if you had some down there for that end of the county, your guys could go that way and my guys could go
Yes,
this
ma'am.
way. So it'll probably save you some money, but you ought to go ahead and, because it's gonna take a while to get them. It took 2 years for us to get that part.
Yeah.
One of them.
The same
But
thing.
get
with-
the portable,
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
and we'll amend it, or I'll
Yeah.
recommend it, because really, you use those things.
Yes, ma'am. We do.
How much, what, remember, you got the quotes?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I can get some
60,000
quotes.
or something?
I can get some quotes for you by the end of the week. I'll have some for you there.
Yeah, because I know at one time we asked you to put it in your budget,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
you're thinking your show's getting bigger and bigger and more spectators.
Okay.
More
I'll
and
do
more
it.
events.
Yeah, more than,
Yeah.
so I think you'll really get some views.
Yes, ma'am. We'll do.
We'll have some on that end and some on this.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So speaking of more events, I'd like to take one and pass it down, please. And I really should have brought this up at budget hearings, and I apologize, but we have, for our fairgrounds, we have an extremely antiquated audio system. It's not even really considered a system. We don't even have a intercom system, for instance, if a child is lost, or just a public safety announcement, anything. And I should have gone out and taken pictures. We have these old oak horns, and they're rusted and scritched, I mean, just like a tin can. So this is, I really should have asked for this in the budget, but it would be about $500,000 to get this complete system. Janet, would you mind, because you knew this guy.
I don't see a quote.
It's on the last
There
page.
is a quote.
At the
It's not
very
quite as
end.
much.
Okay,
font
but we
is
need
tiny.
two quotes.
I know,
I'm sorry.
and I tried
This
to
is
do
just to
hard.
kind of start the
Talking to,
conversation.
Yeah, but I'm
Yes,
telling our employees
Thanks, ma'am.
that, before I can even consider this, you're gonna have to get two quotes.
We'll do, we'll do.
Right, this is only, this was
Yeah,
just
it's
done
just to
by.
start the conversation.
Yeah, this is a conversation starter. This was done by a consultant that, I paid
But I
for to bring in to
understand.
find out what we need because it's such an odd situation.
Right, so now you got the specs, so we can get some quotes.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
We'll do.
You get the quotes.
Well,
We'll do.
we did.
Ask a question, you said this was done by a consultant, but, whatever happened to what, the SMPDD did a fabulous, you helped them with.
Right, and I
What
have that
happened to that study?
I still have
used
a
it.
copy of it.
We could have used it to go ask for some additional funding for.
I'm not sure it had an audio system in there. I don't remember it, but I could look.
I don't know, but we included it in the ARPA request. Sure.
Hancock County got 16 million.
I know.
We got nothing, and we had a plan.
And you have a bigger and better
Yeah,
facility
the
that does
plan
more
was
stuff.
like 8 years ago, and I
Yeah,
forget
it
y'all
was-
stayed.
Nothing is.
It was a good
No,
chance,
no,
some
it
things
was,
had
but
physically
we don't have-
transportation, but.
We don't have lobbies, we don't have someone, I mean, I made calls, but
I'll make a
Hancock
motion right
County,
now that we hire,
you know.
what's her name?
I mean, Connie's right, Hancock County
we
got
got
the
the-
16 million, I tried
They
to
don't,
make,
Hancock
I'll
County
tell you
doesn't
what, I
have
make a
an
motion that we hire,
well, I made the calls, I mean, I don't know what,
I mean, what's her name? Beth Rester. I move we hire Beth Rester. Start-
Claire,
Excuse me.
Claire Hester, sorry,
I
Claire
move we
Hester.
hire Claire
I haven't
Hester
heard
right
her
now.
name in a long time, that's a good friend of mine.
Second, come on, Rebecca.
Second, but it was 90,000 a year.
Okay, up to 90,000.
No.
I got first and second, come on.
Y'all were supposed to
Call the
negotiate
question.
a price.
Well, we
first.
did.
No.
I said up to. So if y'all get me permission,
I
I'll
gotta
talk
get
to her.
prices. I wanna
She
hear
said it
prices.
was 90,000 a
That
year,
I
and
know.
I asked her if she would go last, and she didn't really
Up to
reply.
90,000. I'll restate my motion. Hire Claire Hester up to 90,000 because we are missing out, as Miss McHale
Yeah.
and Mr. Whitfield just pointed out to us.
I'm the one
And
that
you
pointed
still
it out, as a
second it,
matter of
right?
fact.
Yeah.
Okay, call the
But,
question.
All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Not until we get, I wanna hear better
She
prices.
said no, go ahead, Vic.
Poor Candy.
You're gonna negotiate up.
I'm up to 90. No, I'm gonna negotiate.
No.
Down.
Negotiate down, yeah.
Negotiate down.
Yeah,
To bid it,
The motion-
to bid it, if it's $90,000.
up to, let me negotiate.
Right, we good, motion carried.
Gotta be bid. By the way, did you hear that? It has to be bid.
We didn't bid the last one.
Let me
Said
I
90,000.
said up to.
I understand.
Negotiate.
Only bad
Don't leave
myself,
yet. I'm
put
gonna
out
say
there,
pass over.
up to 90, they don't bid now.
We ain't bid it yet, we're coming.
And then, while they're here, I'd like to talk about the buildings. I think I was confused. We were the one building, and we were saying two buildings, and we said back to one building. So let's explain what the uses are.
Okay, the use, we need a building in the front because it'd be easy to be accessed by the public. We also have the arenas that are in the back that are heavily used by not just the winter class, but also the dressage shows. And anybody else who also uses the backside of the covered arena will need that office space in the back as well. If we, excuse me, if we put one building towards the front, then that's gonna make a long walk for the people who use the arena to get to office spaces. And likewise, if we put our offices in the back, it's gonna be very,
But we discussed this during your,
Yeah, but I was misinformed, like I misinformed y'all, because the more we talked about it, the more I realized I was wrong. So I wanted to let them tell you.
so then, so
We're
what was you using
piecemealing
for?
again though,
Yeah,
instead of
but-
going with the plan.
yeah, with the,
So what would
Piecemealing.
you use those two buildings for?
in the back.
Either one. What you gonna do?
In the back would be used by any office spaces that anybody who rents the facility uses. The one in the front would be used for us, like our office space.
But you
break room.
can't put, that's what we talked about, you were gonna add just a small, another room onto yours, and they can use that for an office if they need it.
The problem is location, I'll just
That's-
tell you that,
that's-
so,
I understand, but
that-
if you're using it for an office and you got access, as I know you do,
right.
to those special golf cart things, whatever they're called.
Yes, we have one.
So,
golf cart.
what's the problem?
Well,
Because it was real expensive, Rebecca, real expensive for
To do the
separate
two.
We'll do the two separate.
It was.
It's just difficult, I know for me.
I understand, but I'm trying to talk to
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Whitfield.
Yes, ma'am.
So can't you just add another room? That's what you said you could do during our budget hearing. You were very clear, and it was gonna cut down insurance, there were several expenses.
No, I know, good for one
So,
building
yeah,
instead of two.
How many offices do you need?
Three.
Yeah, but he could add an extra one, but
Ma'am.
no, for him.
No, just no for us. It'd be me, my secretary, and our foreman.
But then you could add an extra room that could be an office, which I still think that was the best idea.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's just the location, it was
But
too.
they got the things to drive up there.
Well, it's not so much about that too, it's the people that go in and to the wrong office, and I'm not sure Greg wants to see my people, but.
And it's not just you, Janet, with all due respect.
No,
It's
it's
Brew
not.
Horse,
Yeah,
horse
that's what
dressage, local
that-
horse shows, AQHA, dog shows, car and motor
Yeah,
shows,
but that
regular
kind of
cross-country, mud runs, festivals, I mean.
So,
Because-
you know what you do,
Payment
you
for
just
that?
put an outside door on that one room.
Yes, ma'am.
That solves that problem.
Me as a director, we'll make anything work. That's just my request to have two buildings. If we have to go to one, look, we can make it.
That's what I would do, because I think it was just a better deal, but if you add an outside door to that extra room,
Yes, ma'am.
then they can use that.
All right.
You know what
We
I
won't
mean?
be able to, depending on where it is, but I'll
That's fine.
do the
Might
same
have
thing
to
I
go
did
to the
before,
trailer
just
then.
rent trailer office.
Yeah, we could do
I
that.
wanted to ask one question too.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the contracts coming through the board again?
I haven't
For,
seen
I
them.
haven't seen any of those. That was supposed to be required of you to bring all contracts and they go through the board.
No, ma'am, they are no longer, we haven't done that, in probably a year and a half or so.
Why not?
Tim, doesn't he have to do that?
They have to be spread on the minutes to be valid binding
I said
contracts.
he'd start bringing them.
Always
We
been
talked
law.
about this.
And ballot, whatever you've done last year was,
Well, it's over with, so
it's over
So you
with.
need to bring them.
Okay, we'll start bringing them in then.
Why did you stop?
I thought we were just, I thought I was under the impression that we didn't have to.
Well, back up two things, because one time the board was saying there's no need for him to bring all the
Correct.
contracts to be approved ahead of
To be
time.
approved.
Because that slowed down the process, but that doesn't change that the contracts still have to be spread on the minutes. So I assume what the board's talking about is you just want him to collect contracts at least once a month and spread them on the minutes if you
Yeah.
get them.
I got you, I got you,
It's
okay.
not a question of getting them approved ahead of time, because that was slowing down the process, that's what we're
Yes,
talking
okay.
about.
That's
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, once a
Exactly.
month to submit them,
Yes, ma'am,
so we
okay,
can put them on the minute.
got you, no problem.
I think they gave you authority to go ahead and do the contract. but they have to
Yeah, I
spread
thought
on the
they
minutes.
did. I thought
Because
so.
sometimes you only had a 2-day turnaround. You remember that one group?
Yes,
Had
yes,
something,
Where
and
they-
you needed it within like 2 days, so that's. what-
yes. There's some people who need the arena or need the facility
Last minute.
and it can't get on the agenda, so yes,
And the
Jan,
board is
one more thing.
responsible.
What's your dates
Will do.
coming up?
The 17th, I think, for the end of like the 31st of March, I couldn't say for sure. I just put out the information today, I should know,
March 17th.
around March 17th, but I do send you the correct one.
Yeah, because people, you know, at cruising the coast, they start asking.
Oh, okay, well, I'll email you our,
So March 17th through 31st.
somewhere around in there, but I'll email you the proper dates. I have a horse show next weekend, so I'm just remembering the dates on that one, I can't remember the other one.
Okay, and Greg, one more thing. I'm glad you're here. I missed seeing you.
yes, ma'am.
Fill us in on your RV spots for cruising.
We have, as of right now, 78 RV spots that are booked for cruising the coast. And I anticipate us getting over 100 by the end of this month.
70 now.
78.
Do we have a 78?
78, yes.
Do we have a contract for those?
But for each RVer,
No, for the RV spots that are rented. Do we have accountability for the money and the RV?
oh, of course, there's no cash, exchanges. Everything's via check or money order or credit cards.
And
and
do we
mo-
have a contract of some kind?
Yes, whenever they come in to get to RV sites, they do sign as they come in. But like an official, what the contract says, it says their coming in date and their departure date and the amount of money that they pay, and I sign it and they sign it
Which
whenever
is
they arrive.
a lease.
It's like a lease,
And it
yes.
has to be spread on the minutes.
Yeah.
Once it's spread them all in
technically it
minutes.
does, but I'm not sure we'll look at that. It's-
Or they're an RV for events, I know. RV
Yeah.
around. But that's fine. You just.
Okay, yeah, we can spread them on the minutes. We just bring them all in.
If you got 100 of them, that's okay, we'll figure
You
it out.
just scan them.
It is technically a contract of rental, so.
Yeah.
more than likely
Is
they'll
it
be
something we need to spread on the minutes before they come in or
No,
after?
no, you spread it on when you get ready
Okay.
to do them all as a group.
Gotcha, yes, sir.
But that's good. I appreciate it.
Probably should do it before the event, just so that, I assume somebody may come in after the event, but you want it done.
Well, they probably won't pay till it,
Yeah, they don't pay till they get there.
Yeah, but you get the contract ahead of time, the reservation.
No, we,
Okay, all right, well, we'll do it.
Yes,
It's just like a hotel room, they make a reservation to use a little
Yeah.
spot,
Yeah.
$70 maybe, I mean, it's funny that we're getting so particular about whatever.
No, I agree.
No,
Sometimes money matters, sometimes it doesn't, but this.
No, I agree with
Whatever.
you.
We're just
They
doing
don't
things
pay
that
till they
normally
get
counties
the
don't do, that's a little bit.
Like, we treat it as a person who is coming in to stay like an overnight RV, and that's,
Technically, it should be square on minutes, but it's not a big deal, they're just renting it for a short period of time, when you're getting collecting the money.
yes, sir.
But we'll look at that, that's, I mean, the problem is counties doing things that counties don't normally do, that's where it gets a little bit tanky, a little bit difficult to decide.
Yes, sir.
It's okay we're doing it, it's just not the usual case.
I'm sorry, Greg said one thing that is kind of an issue, because when they changed with community centers and fairgrounds, I think I understood him, Jennifer did too, that he said he's taking cash.
No, we're not.
Check.
No.
Check,
Check money
Check,
order.
check, yes.
okay, but remember you went to the electronic swipe.
Yes.
Certified payment.
So how are the checks, are you bringing them down?
We bring them down to the courthouse and we bring the bookkeeping within 24 hours.
Okay, just make sure you follow your checks and balance and
Yes,
everything,
ma'am.
so that the audit is, so that.
We got dinged on that with the prior audit,
We
for the
did.
deposits not being remitted to bookkeeping.
Yes, ma'am. And after that happened, we make sure to get them down to the courthouse within 24 hours.
That's perfect.
Right.
Thank you.
And
Yes,
Greg, one more thing. You said you had some barricades available?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Do you have about 50?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. We are a sponsor of Cruising the Coast, but the sheriff, I'm assuming you're still gonna do your big deal at Edgewater Mall. So they have asked if they could use 50 barricades, because with the sheriff in the front of the mall, some of the cars are confused about where to go, so they're gonna line up better. So I'd like to ask if we could use 50 of your barricades. I'm not we, but
Yes, ma'am.
Cruising at Edgewater Mall. And the date is October 10th, I think. I'll let you get back to you on that, but can I make that motion?
Can we get we have a third meeting, don't we?
Yes.
I've
Why don't
got
we
a
get a
request,
request from
I've got a
somebody?
request from the people working the event.
Just gotta see who it is, though, that's, you
It's
know,
the
do
car
it.
club that's working the event at Edgewater Mall. That's
So,
asked. See, each car club
Right,
picks a
I'm
venue
with you.
that they work, but they work and get paid by Cruising the Coast.
Just trying to figure out how to phrase it.
Oh, okay.
To where we don't get in trouble.
Well, can we make the motion? I'd like to make the motion based on,
We did it last year.
Yeah,
We did it last
before,
year.
I just don't remember how we did it, I thought we
can't
did it through the city, but
but they asked, and I think I forgot to ask you.
What was the date?
go ahead and make the
I
motion, we'll
think
figure out how to.
Whatever that
Based
Wednesday.
on our attorney's.
So the first, second, third maybe? What's the?
The 5th is Wednesday.
Okay, be the 5th. I think they drop them off on and it's that weekend. So I'll make the motion based on.
But advertises county resources, our names on every one of them.
Yeah, it's on there.
To, it's probably good for law enforcement, so I don't remember that we did
Public
that.
safety, but also we're listed as a sponsor in their program, and they're the reason Greg Seller.
I'm sure we can figure it out, we did last year.
We did last year. I just
Yeah, we see how we did it, so I
just
remember.
Yeah, I'll second it based on our attorney's final
Right.
wording.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed?
Sorry, Greg. I remember
I
asking.
know, I apologize for bringing you in here.
No, I'm glad you did, because that's
Yeah.
what made me
Been here
think
a
about
while.
it, because I forget.
So the bleachers, not to go back, but when did the Admiral ask for that? I mean, what is it for?
They ask every year for their site at the Civic Center. They put the bleachers up there for the entertainment, for people to watch the bands. Now, they don't do the bands, Cruising does the bands.
But it's the same date as when the aquarium wanted them?
Yeah, they do that 30th.
Okay.
30th, I think.
I just want to be able to tell them a reason when I have to tell them that. Okay.
But tell them to next year to get the city pass.
Okay, at the city does.
But now, I don't know, we don't, do I have any chairs? Rebecca, I know. I don't know where they got that from.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But they could ask
How
me
many chairs do they
to
need?
I don't know.
But we voted against it,
Okay,
so.
never mind.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
not
don't
gonna
know,
happen anyway.
they just asked for change.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Robbie, did you want to add anything about the need for the audio system and the safety and any of the, okay, all right, thank you.
I like that, but you're gonna get us some quotes, huh?
Right.
Great.
Yes, I will. Thanks for those.
Cause we've been needing that.
Yeah,
You can't understand working.
Okay,
that's all for me, thank you.
I do. Here I go again. Okay, I've got 3 resolutions that we tabled last Monday for the city of Biloxi to remove and dispose of some concession stands, basketball playgrounds.
Yes.
And I did talk to the city, and they are going to reimburse us, for Savard Park, 4749, Businessman Parks, 467, and John Riley Park, 467. So they will pay for the disposal, so I would like to make a motion to bring these off the table and approve them.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Two motions. We'll combine that, take it off
Well,
the
let's
table
take it off
first.
the table,
There you
and the
go.
next one was.
Second motion approved.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Just trying to make sure.
And then I've got another one, advertising county resources, $1,000 for the 47th annual Slavic Invitational Golf Tournament, that I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Can't read my own writing. So the other one, comptroller, which is another reason why I haven't asked. So tell us why MDOT suspended us because you didn't get the stuff in on time.
I did send the certification.
Then why were we suspended?
They suspended us because they do not have the 2021 audit. And it's my understanding that Jackson County and Hancock County also received the same letter from MDOT.
So Jackson, what can we do to fix it?
Well, I've offered to provide them any financial information that they need. She did not get back with me to say if that would suffice. I did tell her that yes, we will have a single audit, which is a special audit for the federal awards. I did tell her how much money we've spent for 21. I also reached out to our auditors to say, when are y'all coming? He did assure me that they're coming the end of this month to start field work. So I'm like, our contract says that you'll have the audit report completed by December 31st. So
You think they'll get it done by?
I'm hoping and praying. I have given them already a lot of information for them to get started on the audit. They can do a lot of the work in the planning
I'd like to
offsite.
ask, from now on, I'd like for you to tell us that and not me having to read it later after the fact. But I'd like to ask our attorney to maybe get involved in this and send these new auditors a little come to get
I'll
it
be glad,
together.
I'll be glad to kind of just nicely tell them you need this
They need to
done.
get it together, because I kinda got my doubts that they're gonna have this thing done.
Is this the new auditors we just hired?
See, we've already lost our bond rating because of the other auditors.
Well, we fixed that.
We did once we found out
Right,
about it, that's
right,
my
I'm okay with
point. So here we are again with NDOT with the new auditors in the same boat. So I think you should get involved in
I
this.
didn't see that letter, could you send it to me? I don't remember seeing
Do
it.
you have it?
I'm sure.
I have a copy of it
Send
in
it
the
to me.
email, so yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just.
Maybe we could have a little bit more conversation.
ahead of time.
Maybe a report, maybe once a month from your department, so we kind of have an idea what's going on.
Instead of reading this stuff after the fact, I don't like that.
Absolutely. Well, when I sent that email, I had just received that
Well,
letter
I already
myself.
have the email. You sent the email 4 days after I got it from MDOT.
Well, I had just received the letter in my hand before I sent the email, that day.
So you got a hard letter.
I did.
I got it.
I did.
May
Which
I
I'm
ask-
assuming they thought I was still president.
May I ask Doug a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that gonna slow up our projects
No,
that
ma'am.
we have?
No,
Okay.
That does not affect
Sure,
any
because
state,
that's what I was wondering.
that does not have any effect on state aid projects. I got that from the director when I saw
Okay.
that.
Thank you. That's
Yes,
the
ma'am.
first thing because I just heard about it today. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, can you tell me what we're exactly suspended from?
They put us on audit suspension, MDOT did.
So what does that mean?
Well, basically, because they do not have the 21 audit, also the single audit report, we're on audit suspension. And they do say in that letter that it could hold funding on projects that we have now.
Okay, we'll look at that.
And I can tell you from past experience, that would affect projects like Landon Road if we were under construction,
Which
that our
over $2
reimbursement
million.
could be delayed.
We're a long way from getting that one done.
But those are the kind of projects that they typically hit with those kind of suspensions. If we have LPA projects like Landon Road, if that was under construction, that reimbursement could get delayed.
I would not think it would be an uncommon
Thank you.
situation for a county to be behind on its audit.
Well, they should.
Anyway, we'll figure it out, I'll look at it.
That's all I got.
Okay. Supervisor Rocco.
On this last.
No, sir.
Andrew, you have anything? Tim?
And the only thing I want the board to see the newspaper article about Tommy McAdams' case. Front page of the paper.
I saw that.
Part of this settlement agreement was that nobody would comment on it other than say that they were satisfied with the settlement agreement. Of course, I did that. Noticed, that was the rule, that was the settlement terms. He went further than that and basically said he stood up to the county, and the county was not even a party to this litigation, so that's a little bit unusual. And that he stood up to the county and the government to prevent this from happening to somebody else. What he didn't say is that for several years before this case that anybody even ran for tax assessor, is that he spent most of his time cruising the internet in violation of county policy, researching Ameritrade, oil and gas, Facebook, Fox News, and things of that nature. Approximately half of every day was spent actively on the internet doing personal things. He also did not say that Ms. Ladner had recommended to Mr. Fleury several years before that he be fired and terminated because he was consistently late coming to and leaving early from work, taking 1 to 2 hour lunches. She had actually chastised him in writing that he had failed to follow county policies. After she chastised him in writing with a letter saying, you've got, everybody in this office has to leave, be 8 to 5, and lunch is 1 hour. After that, he consistently continued to be late coming in and early leaving and late lunches as he did. So he got terminated not because of any political reason, but because of his bad performance. The only thing he had in his favor in that entire case was the timing of it, which when you take office, you hire new employees. Every elected official has to do that. You don't have to already hire all of them. So I was a little bit upset to see his comments that I believe were untruthful. And if the board wants to do something about it, that's my question. I could file a motion to enjoin him in the federal court and to possibly cite him for contempt for violating the terms of it. We could also determine that the settlement terms were breached, and let's ask the court to put it back on the trial docket and let's go to trial on the
But
case.
you said yourself it was gonna cost more than trial than the settlement, so I don't know why we.
I'm venting, I'm not telling you to do that, I'm venting because I don't appreciate what he did. I thought that was bad form, and either his lawyer didn't tell him or he took liberties with the truth and took liberties, opportunity, should have just said, I don't have a comment. What the agreement was that he would say, as I did, that we're satisfied with the settlement. That's all.
Right. Why don't you do the same and go to Sun Herald and ask for the same spot, the same story, the same, and give your comment? That would be,
I don't know if they'll do it again, unfortunately, I'm not sure, but I'd be glad to get straighten that out. I don't want to violate the settlement agreement by doing that. I thought that was.
well, but we're talking about it now.
I understand.
I mean, it's fine, I agree with you,
I
it
just want
should have
y'all
been
to know
done,
what he
but this is
said.
public too.
What he was, letting y'all know what he said was simply not true. It was not the facts of the case.
What would you like to do?
We could file a motion with the court to adjourn him from any further comment and
That defeats the purpose of why we settled, because we didn't settle because Ms.
I'm okay with
Ladner
that.
was wrong.
That's right.
We settled because
It would
be cheaper.
monetarily it was cheaper to settle.
And they
So
did
I
say
can't
that.
see spending more money.
I'm with you. I'm okay.
I agree.
I just wanted to let y'all know, I wasn't real happy that he, because I told you what the terms were, and I expected him to abide by the terms, but he didn't.
Well, that is
That's what-
contempt.
That's what is aggravating about it. Anyway, I'll pass the
You did a
message
nice
along.
job.
Okay, then we have, want to schedule another meeting for September 26th, third meeting.
Okay, and that's it.
It's gonna be here for a little.
That's to close out the.
So I need to make
Yeah, so
a
we'll make the recess.
motion to recess
Second.
to the 26th.
Yes,
It'll be here.
should be here. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
And that's 9:30.
9:30.
Great job, Mr. President.
When's the third meeting?
26.